Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon.
Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. It's a feud 8 years in the making. It all started back when Miz mentored Daniel Bryan on NXT in 2010, somehow managed to bubble away while Bryan was out injured and being the GM on SmackDown Live, and has very recently become an absolute cert for SummerSlam. I mean, to say it's a feud the fans want to see is an understatement of the highest order, and the fact that it has a potential to absolutely rule is a given. But here's the kicker. This is WWE. There's every chance they're going to mess it up so badly the two will never work again. Case in point, chucking around a fake baby in this weird montage of crying ones. So, rather than this being a fantasy booking video in which I tell you all the ways I wish that WWE would book this feud, this is a dose of realism. This is how I think the feud will actually go down. This is a wake-up call, sheeple. This is how WWE will screw up Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. I came up with the idea for this video of how WWE might ruin this feud before Miz had ever chucked the dolly into the mixture. To quote Daniel Bryan from last week's SmackDown, every time we take 2 steps forward, we take 1 step back. Following on from Miz's funeral from Team Hell No that set this whole thing up, it looked like this was going to be one of the all-time great WWE feuds. But now it's wavering somewhere between fantastic promos from both men, bookended by absolutely tragic ideas, like whoever made that montage of crying babies, and whoever decided that Miz should be on the set of his new reality show. It's a reality show! You don't need a set, they just follow you around your life. A good reality show can make something out of nothing, following you around Target while you meet your friends for lunch, filming you on the bog having difficulties. Look at the Kardashians, they're really famous, their show's nothing but difficulties. In terms of drastically swinging from real highs to real lows, this feud is basically Les Miserables. How are WWE going to turn it into misery? Well, speaking of hobbling, Stephen King fans, Kane could come clumping back in with his big old cast and say that Team Hell No most certainly isn't over. And then Daniel Bryan, still subconsciously hypnotized by the techniques of Dr. Shelby back in 2012, decides that yes, they can crack on, despite the big old crack in Kane's foot. And the pair then insert themselves back into tag team competition, and we can just forget about the whole Miz thing, which seems to be really easily done in the SmackDown tag division. Where's sanity? Oh, they're coming all right. Anyway, Hell No get back into the tag division. Kane is finishing everyone off with a big boot, clobbering them with the cast. They win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships off the Bludgeon Brothers or the New Day, probably the New Day, in order to build to a match at Evolution 2 between them and Sasha Banks and Bayley of the Boss and Hug. Oh, I can't say that name. So awful. The Boss. Sasha and Bayley with the matching jackets. After it's all revealed at Evolution this year are the women's tag team champs, following this whole other layer of fantasy booking that we don't really have time to go through. We're built into a match at Evolution 2, Team Hell No versus the and Hug Connection. Dr. Shelby is special guest referee. And the ultimate prize here is being named his finest students. By the time that this is all resolved, Bayley and Sasha Banks have been named Best at Therapy because their problems went away as if some writers had just forgot about it. And Miz and Daniel Bryan will be so dead, Triple H is going to use it for an ill-advised promo. Well, actually, that's booking around the feud, so we'll take it again. So Miz holds the funeral for Team Hell No, chucks the baby, plays a montage, he's on set. Next week he comes out and he's got a doctor with him. Not Shelby, we already did that one. Miz, using the same sway he used to get the Miz and Mrs. launch party as the main event of an actual episode of SmackDown, has wrangled all the WWE doctors up and had them reassess Daniel Bryan's case. And it turns out he's no longer cleared to wrestle. They give the old fake news treatment to all of the second opinions D-Bry gathered up over the years while he was fighting to be allowed back in the ring, and Paige and Shane make it clear that this is what the company have decided. Daniel Bryan has to retire from in-ring competition for a second time. This whole retirement lasts for a year and a vicious 3-way court battle between The Miz and Bryan and WWE ensues. Meanwhile, The Miz, who is still wrestling, has worked his way back into the Intercontinental title picture after that came back to SmackDown following the Superstar shake-up attached to, I don't know, Apollo Crews. That's probably the most outlandish line that's going to be in this video. Miz then picks up the belt at Extreme Rules, and then, just before SummerSlam 2019, Daniel Bryan appears and attacks Miz during a promo, saying the doctors have reassessed his case and he's been cleared after they found that the scans that the Miz had showed them were doctored, which they should have known because they also doctor things being doctors themselves. But anyway, Daniel Bryan is cleared, Miz and him have a match at SummerSlam 2019 for the Intercontinental title, and Daniel Bryan suffers a debilitating concussion and can never wrestle again. Or he picks up the belt, one of the two, doesn't matter. Some of that actually made sense though, so that's too good, let's go again. So we have the Team Hell No funeral, baby fling and a montage, and then Miz is on set. Then, playing off where this whole feud started, the entire thing begins to play out on episodes of Talking Smack. WWE tried to capture the magic of that initial confrontation with Renee Young, the magically disappearing correspondent, playing ringmaster. The whole thing goes back and forth brilliantly, with both stars appearing separately and then together, before eventually the whole thing explodes in this heated battle in the studio. It's like all of the best bits of this feud so far, but without the babies. The problem is, Talking Smack is still cancelled. Post-funeral, both Baby Gates and The Miz on set. The MIZTOURAGE return on this week's SmackDown Live. Never mind the tradition of swapping the superstars at the shake-up. Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel come back to The Miz's side this week. Except they're still Raw Tag Team Champions and they've got quite big for their boots. So when asked to do The Miz's dirty work and go back to just being MIZTOURAGE, they begin to sour on their new boss. This leads to them attacking the A-lister before the SummerSlam match can happen, writing Miz out of that completely. The B-team then rename themselves the B-listers and start a tag team feud with The Miz and Daniel Bryan, who are forced to work together to overcome this new foe. This plays out pretty much like the Bar or Team Hell No, with them struggling to get along but somehow picking up wins before eventually they become a great team. The fantastic Team No. And this eventually leads to a title shot against the B-listers for the Raw Tag Team Championships, which are still on SmackDown. So Miz holds the funeral for Team Hell No, chucks the baby, plays a montage, he's on set. And this week, he's also on set for Miz and Mrs. He's not on SmackDown. As the crowds at SmackDown so far haven't been all that bothered about seeing clips from the show or all the promotional plugs that have been going on, he's decided he's a big star now and he's not going to bother coming back to WWE as there are no promo opportunities for his new show. He skips SummerSlam just to make the point. From that point on, he's cutting all of his promo material for the feud on Miz and Mrs. He's bad-mouthing Daniel everywhere he goes, taking Monroe Sky to the creche, doing Pilates, aimlessly driving Maurice around so they can chat. I don't know, I haven't watched it and you can't make me. But the whole time he's just harping on about Bryan and how Team Hell No are no more, and he made Bryan famous. He doesn't have a reality show, except he does, and WWE know this. So they start having Bryan do the exact same thing on Total Bellas. Oh look, Birdie's taking her first steps. Yeah, but Miz won't get in the ring with me. Nikki has broken up with John for real this time, and not just in a reality show way. Yeah, but Miz said he's a coward and he wouldn't face me at SummerSlam. Before long, the entire feud is playing out on reality TV. They're watching clips of each other's shows on their own shows, and it forms a whole feedback loop in which Total Bellas is mostly clips of Miz and Mrs. and vice versa. With so much revenue swapping hands with both companies buying the rights to show clips of each other's show, USA&E decide that the only thing to do, the only thing that's cheap enough, is to just come together and form one conglomerate channel called USAE. With an exclamation mark. This new channel then just shows back-to-back episodes of Miz and Mrs. and Total Bellas, each one answering questions set up by the previous one, moving the feud on very slowly in increasingly mundane ways. Dress shopping, I don't know. Meanwhile, Maurice and Brie are just trying to raise their children while their husbands babble on inanely about a match they're definitely not having. Kathy Kelly, who has to do almost hourly WWE Now updates to keep up with the he said of this feud, goes cross-eyed on an episode, foams at the mouth, and then passes out as she tries to explain what's actually going on. Eventually, Brie and Maurice have just had enough and both leave Bryan and The Miz, which then only boosts the ratings. Bryan is naturally comforted by John Cena, big hug John. For the season finale, the productions propose an ambitious crossover episode where the match finally happens. Every single move punctuated by dramatic music and a lingering camera shot on the reaction. Then we cut to an interview where they recap what's gone on. I was seeing stars when he skull-crushing finale'd me. The winner of the match gets their wife and child back. The loser gets to go on Celebrity Big Brother. Miz wins at SummerSlam, and it kills Bryan's momentum completely. He leaves in September. If you haven't already, why don't you pledge and become a Patreon of WrestleTalk? Not only will you get exclusive monthly content, if we get enough of you, we're also going to start doing NXT Wrestle Ramble reviews. And why not give us a subscribe to stay up to date on all of the latest wrestling news? I've been Fakidor Laurie Blake, and that was some made-up lucha.